3 reasons your accent is stuck or getting worse. And then I'm going to be talking about how to fix each one of these reasons, each one of these problems. So, number one, this is something that I see a lot of my clients. So, I have clients that come work with me one on one, and I see this in their accent and pronunciation. And that is, I'm going to say incorrect sound. When I say incorrect sound, I mean they're not using the sound of American English. They're using the sound of their native language. Okay. It's okay to have an accent. I want to be clear on that. But clients who come to see me generally want to have more of an American accent. So the number one problem is that the the incorrect sound, let's say the TH. Okay, as an example, they might say dis instead of this, or they might say vis, like a V, instead of this. So their incorrect sound, they're able to master it. Like when we use words isolated or when they're concentrating, they're able to correctly master the sound. Like they can say this and that and both. They say it correctly, but when they are speaking in their day-to-day English, the incorrect sound comes up again. So it's not yet a habit. So what do you do if this is your problem? You're able to pronounce the correct sound, but you revert back to the incorrect sounds, the sounds from your native language when you talk. The way to fix this is to really work on that muscle memory and to do targeted exercises. So let's say you have trouble with the TH. I mean, you can say it when you think about it. Your tongue is between your teeth, but when you talk in a regular conversation, you can't. Then I highly, highly, highly recommend what you do to fix this is to do targeted pronunciation exercises. So, I mean, I have a whole playlist on the TH. So, if you go to my YouTube channel, American Accent Training with Jess, and you go to the playlist section, you'll be able to see TH practice. I would say just watch it, repeat after me, do tongue twisters with the TH and make sure that you're pronouncing it correctly. Because when you're able to focus on it and be intentional, you're able to make those sounds, right? So if you do it enough, a good 5 to 10 to 15 minutes a day, you're able to rebuild that muscle memory. So the influence of your native language, those native language sounds, don't take over. You're able to retrain those muscles, retrain those pronunciation habits. So that is how you would fix the first problem, which is I can pronounce the sound, but in my day-to-day life, it's not yet a part of my accent. Okay. So to make it become a part of your accent, practice, practice, practice so that it becomes natural. At first, it's going to feel like a lot of work, like, oh, this, teeth, with. It's going to feel like you have to slow down to think about it. But the more you do it, the more natural it's going to become. It's going to it's going to become so natural if you practice and you target those sounds that it's going to be easier to make those American English sounds when you speak English rather than your native language sounds coming back, right? Trying to take over, trying to hijack your English. So that's the number one problem, and that's how to fix it. There's no specific order, but this is just things that I see. Next, maybe you decide to do some self study and you want to improve your accent, but your pronunciation and your accent is getting worse. This can happen. This can happen for many reasons. But the main reason I think about is let's say, I'm trying to think of it. Let's do the TH, for example. You know that you're saying it wrong, so then you practice it and you do targeted exercises. You think you're pronouncing it correctly, but you're not. So by practicing and practicing the sound, you make that a new part of your accent. So that becomes your new accent. But if you don't get feedback, if you don't get feedback from, I don't know, an accent coach or a native speaker or someone who has the accent that you want, you might be retraining your muscle memory, your pronunciation habits to become something incorrect. Okay. So when you want to improve your accent, you want to make sure that when you are doing exercises, when you are doing some targeted pronunciation practice, that you actually are producing it correctly. Because you might think that you hear yourself and it's okay. But if you haven't developed that ear yet in American English, you might be incorrectly pronouncing it and thinking that you're actually okay. Again, if you want to learn more about this, you can comment top tips to get my free guide to improve your accent faster. So I talk about this a little bit, but there's so many other good tips. There's 5 tips in total. So comment that in the description, no, in the comments of my YouTube video if you want to know how to get my free guide. All right. Now we're going to go back to the 3 reasons. Again, just make sure you're getting feedback if this is your problem, if your accent is getting worse. Um, and it also might be getting worse. Let's say when it comes to intonation, like you're practicing and trying out new things, you're doing things that feel unnatural, which it's gonna feel unnatural if you're doing it correctly and you're not used to it, but it's also gonna feel unnatural if you just do it differently. So just getting feedback while you're navigating these new sounds, new patterns, new aspects of that language that you're targeting that you want to have, which is probably an American accent if you are following me. And third problem, third one of the 3 reasons why your accent is stuck or it is getting worse and how to fix it. This is something that I hear a lot. I mean, I've experienced it too in my language learning journey. I live in my second language. I know what it's like. And that is, I feel like I've plateaued. So if you're improving, you're getting better and better and better, but you're plateauing. So you feel like there's no progress. I'm stuck. I feel like I can't get any better anymore. There are 2 main reasons why I believe this happens, at least 2 reasons that I mainly see. One is, so this one is not your problem. Like, it's not like, "Oh, no, you're doing something wrong." If oh, you know what? Let me do this. I'm going to make a little drawing for you guys to demonstrate this. I feel like I draw this out all the time. I should just get it printed. Uh, 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 uh. 'Kay. Um, some of you guys may have already seen this. All right, let's check out your accent here. Let's say this means that your accent is really thick. This means that it's getting closer to what you want. Maybe it's an American accent. Maybe it's like a native accent, right? And then this is time. If you're in the beginning stages of your accent reduction journey, you're going to find that progress is a lot faster. You're going to be able to do small changes. Maybe it's just like if let's say you speak Spanish, okay? Instead of people saying yes, they'll say yes. Instead of people saying Jesse, which is my name, I'll hear Yessie. So just by fixing that one sound, like saying the J sound and the Y sound when you need, it will be like, "Poof." You did 1 or 2 changes, boom, super like a super big change, right? Um, so if you're in the beginning of your accent reduction journey, little changes will make big differences, right? And you'll have bigger results. Whereas when you get to the middle part, like you'll have to work a little bit harder to get that change. Near the end, you might feel like you have to do a lot of things. You have to put in a lot of work. You have to make a lot of changes just to get a little bit of progress. So that might be one of the reasons. Remember, there's 2 reasons. That might be one of the reasons why you feel stuck or plateaued. Okay? So that's one that is just completely natural and there's nothing you can do to make it feel easier other than just keep on pushing yourself to improve. The second reason is that you just don't really know what's next. Okay. I experienced this in my second language and I really need help. I want somebody to guide me. Um, when you are trying to have more of an American accent, let's say this is the American accent, okay? All the American sounds. And then you have your accent, which is inspired. It's influenced by your native language, right? But then it's also kind of inspired by, um, or like, influenced by the American accent if you're already working towards it. So you need to look at these 2 accents and say, "What's different in my accent that does not match the American accent if that is my goal?" then you have to identify those differences and then target those sounds, learn how to make those sounds. Or if it's like your intonation being like, okay, the intonation's off, I'm going to work on the intonation. So the second reason just might be that you do not know what sounds off, what sounds incorrect if you want to have more of an American accent. And usually I feel like it happens near the end. Okay, near the end here. That's where I especially need it. It's when you're like, "Oh, like, I need a native speaker, I need an accent coach to really identify what sounds off," because I could just kinda guess and say, "I think it's this, it might not be this," and there's a lot of, second guessing, confusion, a lot of wasted time and energy just to try and identify that, so that could be the second reason. So again, if you guys are interested in learning more about how to improve your accent faster, comment top tips, and I will share with you how to get my free guide to improve your accent faster. That is the end of this section, and I'm going to check out what questions you guys have because I do see some comments on YouTube. I think there's probably going to be more questions on